regular verbs or irregular verbs? Today we'll study about the irregular verbs, the irregular present simple forms, and we'll also study about some verbs ending in ch, sh, s, double s, o, x, z, and y. And we'll see how to put them in the present simple form. So, let's get the ball rolling. What are irregular verbs? Irregular verbs are verbs that have multiple forms and do not follow a pattern. They simply have to be memorized. For example, verb be, verb do, and verb have. No pattern is followed when these verbs are formed. These verbs have irregular present simple forms. So let's put them in the present simple tense. Let's start with the verb be in the present simple tense. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, you are, they are. Verb have in the present simple tense. I have, you have, he has, she has, it has, we have, you have, and they have. Now verb do in the present simple. I do, you do, he does, she does, it does, we do, you do, and they do. All you need to do is to memorize the forms of these verbs in the present simple, and don't forget that you have to use has for he, she, and it, does for he, she, and it, and is for he, she, and it in the present simple. Now let's go over the negative forms of these verbs. I am not. You are not, or you aren't. He is not, or he isn't. She is not, or she isn't. It is not, or it isn't. We are not, or we aren't. You are not, or you aren't. They are not, or they aren't. I don't have, you don't have. He doesn't have, she doesn't have. As you can see here, when we have doesn't, we use the infinitive form of the verb have without to. So we say, she doesn't have, it doesn't have, we don't have, you don't have, and they don't have. I do not do, or I don't do, you don't do. He doesn't do, does not do, or doesn't do. As you can see here, when we have doesn't, we use the infinitive form of the verb do without to. So he doesn't do, she doesn't do, it doesn't do, we don't do, you don't do, and they don't do. To make question forms, we say, am I? Are you? Is he? Is she? Is it? Are we? Are you? And are they? To make questions with the verb have and with the verb do, we have to use do or does. For example, do I have? Do you have? Does he have? Does she have? Does it have? Do we have? Do you have? Do they have? Do I do? Do you do? Does he do? Does she do? Does it do? Do we do? Do you do? And do they do? It's time to practice. Let's put these verbs in the present simple. Paul. Paul. Okay, one person, one man. We refer to him using he. So with he, we say has. Very good. Okay, so Paul has 3 brothers. So it's a positive sentence. Oh, here we have not. Okay, so it's a negative sentence. So Paul does not have or doesn't have any brothers. Very good. As you can see, there's a question mark, so this is a question. So we have to start with the verb do. Because we have Paul, so we need to use does. Does Paul have any brothers? Another example. She has a new car. The negative form. She doesn't have a new car. Question form. Does she have a new car? What does she have? Let's have another example. Put the verb have in the present simple. They have the biggest restaurant in the city. Now, the negative form. They don't have the biggest restaurant in the city. Now, the question form. We use the helping verb do because we have they, the pronoun they. So, do they have the biggest restaurant in the city? Or if we have a question word, what do they have? Now let's put the verb be in the present simple. She. Okay, so what do we say with she? Yeah, okay, so she is. She is the youngest girl in her family. This is a positive sentence. Here we have not. Okay, so it's negative. So she is not or she isn't the youngest girl in her family. Here we have a question mark. So it's a question. Okay, so we start with is. Is she the youngest girl in her family? Very good. Another example. These kids. Okay, so we can use they to refer to these kids. Okay, so with they, we say are. Very good. So these kids are very annoying. This is positive. Now, Okay, not. So it's a negative sentence. So these kids are not or aren't very annoying. Are these kids annoying? Since it's a question, so we have to start with verb be. Are these kids annoying? Don't forget that when we are making questions with the verb be, we don't need to use verb to do or verb do at all. We just use verb to be. Now it's time to put the verb do and the present simple. The first example, Maria. Okay, we can use she to refer to Maria. So with he, she, and it, we say does. So Maria does her homework every day. Oh, here we have not. So it's negative. So Maria does not do or doesn't do her homework every day. There's a question mark at the end of the sentence, so it's a question. So we need to start with does. Does Maria do her homework every day? And if we have a question word, we can say, what does Maria do every day? What about the verbs that end in CH, SH, S, double S, X, O, and Z? These verbs take ES in the third person singular. It means with he, she, and it, we add ES at the end of these verbs. For example, she catches, very good, we add ES to the verb. She catches the train at 8 a.m. every Monday. She doesn't catch. Since we have doesn't, we can't say catches anymore. We have to use the infinitive form of the verb. So she doesn't catch the train at 8 a.m. every Monday. Okay, so this is a question. We start with does. Again, does she catch? It's because we have does. We use the infinitive form of the verb. So does she catch the train at 8 a.m. every Monday? The employee. Okay, so the employee, we can use he or she to refer to the employee. That's right. So the employee goes. The present simple form of the verb go is goes with he, she, and it. So the employee goes to the cafe after work. The employee doesn't go, does not go, or doesn't go to the cafe after work. Does the employee go to the cafe after work? Or we can use a question word to ask about the place. Where does the employee go after work? Okay, so the verbs that end in CH, SH, S, double S, O, X, and Z take ES and the third person singular. But what if we have a verb that ends in a consonant and Y? What should we do? We should change Y to I and add ES in the third person singular. It means with he, she, and it, we change Y to Y and we add ES at the end of the verb. Let's have an example. So this is verb try in the present simple tense. I try, you try, he tries, she tries, it tries, we try, you try, and they try. Let's put the verb try in these sentences in the present simple. She tries. Very good. She tries her best to pass her exams. Oh, not. Okay, so we need to use the negative form. She doesn't try. When we have doesn't, we use the infinitive form of the verb. So, she doesn't try. We can't say she doesn't tries. It would be wrong. So, she doesn't try her best to pass her exams. The question form. Does she try her best to pass her exams? That's all for today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!